It's I'm Gonna Stop You Right There, the podcast that debates the burning topics in sports.
All right, guys, how we doing? It's week 2 of the I'm Gonna Stop You Right There podcast. We made it, week 2. How's it feel? How you guys doing?
Great. It's good to be back.
Yep.
Just for those of you who may have missed week 1, Tyler Ederer, am joined by Matt Shalloe and Cooper Sherman. And yeah, this podcast is just a little debate between 3 guys that love sports. And today we're mostly going to be focusing on NFL football, as it is with the season getting underway right now. But this week, I just wanted to start with a new segment that we're going to be trying out here. I just want to go around and each of us give our favorite sports moment from the week. And these can be sports moments from any sport. They don't have to be particularly good plays, highlight plays, anything like that. It just any moment that stood out to you guys. And then we'll make sure that we provide links to these wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. So, without further ado, I will go ahead and give my favorite moment of the week. So I don't know if you guys are big college football fans at all.
And not really.
so if you're not really, or even if you are, Florida State football really hasn't been in the limelight since the Jimbo Fisher era and the Jameis Winston era. But for those, so I went to FSU for a little while. So I've been, the painfulness of the past few seasons has been front and center for me. And that definitely continued this weekend. Florida State lost to Wake Forest. They kind of got blown out. And this is coming off a loss to Jacksonville State, I want to say, some non-FBS team that they definitely shouldn't have lost to. But the moment that really stood out this week for me in that game, they were already trailing and their quarterback, Jordan Travis, was taken out of the game by the referees because he got up favoring his shoulder. And it's a rule in college that if you're injured, you have to take a play off. And so the referees doing their job told him that he had to sit out this next play. And so Jordan Travis walks to the sideline. He's not, gruesomely injured by any means. He was able to walk off under his own power. And when he gets to the sideline, Mike Norvell runs out onto the field and tells him to lay on the ground and then motions to the referee so as to show him, hey, this is what a real injured player looks like. And this moment was just kind of a snapshot of what this season has been and really what FSU football has been for the past 2 years. To me, it just looked petty and disorganized and not the way that a head football coach should act, especially one that's getting paid the amount of money with the expectations that Mike Norvell has at Florida State. The FSU football program kind of carries with it an air of greatness, or at least it's supposed to. And that was just really cringy to watch. So I have it on Twitter here. I can share it in the chat so you guys can see it. But like I said, all of these moments will be linked wherever you guys are viewing or listening to this podcast. So I'll throw it over here to whoever would like to go next.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll go. As I've said before, I'm a Patriots fan, big Pats guy. So how about Damian Harris's touchdown run this week where he broke not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, but 7 tackles on the way to his touchdown run. Yeah, it was amazing, incredible. It was like reminiscent of LeGarrette Blount, and I don't think even LeGarrette Blount sometimes wasn't breaking 7 tackles in one run. It was just amazing to see. So Damian Harris, I think he has the potential to be the best running back since LeGarrette Blount.
I like that. For me, I have 2, and they're both like relatively easy moments. First of all, I'm not an Ohio State fan per se, but I'm an Ezekiel Elliott fan. I don't know why, for some reason, always has been. So just glad to see him get back in the end zone after everything he went through last year. So that was a big moment of mine. But two, as a Bills fan, and this one's probably my favorite moment, they forced a 3-and-out to the Dolphins, and the second play from scrimmage, a guy who's been under the limelight a lot. Once the Bills get back on offense, a guy that's been the talk a lot of the Bills running game, Devin Singletary breaks off a 46-yard rushing touchdown, and the Bills didn't look back from there. Josh Allen didn't have the greatest of games, but he really didn't need to because the defense played great. And it was just nice to see him break away with a guy that only ran like a 4.6 or something at the count. He's not a fast guy by any means, but he put the burners on and he blew past the safety once he got to that point. And it was just good seeing it because the Bills needed that after last week's loss. And like I said, they wasted no time, second play from scrimmage. And just good for a guy like that people have been so critical of over the past 2 years, his first 2 years in the league. So that was nice for him. He's kind of really taken over that RB1 role in Buffalo. But Zach Moss had a great game as well with his 2 rushing touchdowns. And that's another great moment too, because he tweeted something after the game that he buried his aunt on Saturday morning and then went back out there Sunday after being a healthy scratch week 1, and he added 2 rushing touchdowns after he fumbled early. So it was good to see him bounce back and keep his head up and with all that going on.
That's great. I did not know that about Zach Moss, but that makes
he tweeted it like
more special.
He tweeted it at like 5:15ish around then after that. So I guess it was, obviously I'm sure the players knew because he scored that touchdown. They all went up to him and there was a close circle, a lot of tight hugs. And I thought it was just because, he was down last week, like way to keep your head up, being a healthy scratch, come back from the fumble. But obviously there was a lot more to it. And all that made sense once I saw that after the game for sure.
Right. That's awesome. And Coop, that run was something else. That's for sure. That's great stuff.
I thought Coop was going to say that he had 4 favorite moments, and those would be each of the interceptions that Zach Wilson threw to Patriots defenders.
Yeah.
That was rough.
That helps too.
We're actually going to be getting to the Jets here in a little while, so stay tuned for that. But like I said, all of those moments will be linked wherever you are consuming this podcast. So with that, let's move on to our first real topic of discussion here today. And the first place we're going to go is to the Ravens and Chiefs. The Ravens pulled one out in a nail biter this weekend.
Wow.
And
amazing
the
game.
Main question, it really was an incredible game. The main question we're going to be kind of mulling over this week is, what do we think about the Ravens? Are they real contenders in the AFC? Are they going to be able to overcome their injury problem? What do we think going forward for the Ravens? They've beaten 2 good teams to start the year with the Raiders and now the Chiefs. I'm going to pass the mic over here to whoever would like to kick us off. What do you think? Are the Ravens legit AFC contenders this year?
You can go ahead, Coop.
Okay. So I think they are. Obviously there's some questions on if they're going to have a steady running back production, but besides that, I think the Ravens are a very solid team this year, obviously led by, their star quarterback, Lamar Jackson. He had a great game last night, playing the role of quarterback and running back as he usually does. So I think they are a contender in the AFC. I think they're going to continue to compete with the other top teams in the AFC, like the Chiefs and the Bills. And so obviously they have had a bit of problems the past 2 seasons, haven't really made a deep playoff run with Lamar Jackson at QB. But hey, who knows? I think this might be the year that they finally break through.
I think they're still legit. We talked about their injury bug last week and how I thought it really didn't matter because they just run that read option so well because of the threat that they have at quarterback. We saw Devonta Freeman, his first carry was a 32-yard run off a read option because everyone thought Lamar still had the ball. Like I said, you could stick not anyone, like I said, but next man up mentality. They can run what they want to do with any decent running back, and that's exactly what they've been able to do. Their defense is still good, and obviously, if you can beat that team, you're a contender in any book because that's the team they're ultimately going to have to go through. I know there's still some 2-0 teams in the AFC that we'll get on later, but the team that's 1-1 in the Chiefs is still the best of them, and they beat them. And the AFC is still going to go through Kansas City in my eyes. I mean, that's not a setback for them. They played great too. It's just Baltimore made one more play than they did, and that's what it came down to, and they got the narrow win. So I think both teams can come out of that with their head high. And Baltimore really needed it because you did not want to – last year there were no teams that started 0-2 to make the playoffs. Not obviously that's not going to happen every year, but you don't want to go down 0-2 with a stat like that last year. So they really needed it, and it's good for them. And like the Chiefs, I mean, nothing to hang your heads about. Just a tough fumble there at the end for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and they'll be back, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm going to echo what you guys said already. And I'll take it a step further, Matt. I think it literally could be anybody. You can get the guy working at the gas station down the street to be running back. With Lamar Jackson, he adds that piece that any good running game in the NFL adds, which is unpredictability, the opening up of an offense. They're averaging almost 7 yards per offensive play right now. So despite not having the best running back committee in the league or even in their own facility, they're still getting it done. And yeah, I think they're going to be major contenders going forward. There's been some great AFC football to start the year. So yeah, I think that the Ravens are going to be a force to be reckoned with. That's for sure.
I certainly agree.
Who do you guys think comes out on top of that division though?
I still have the Browns, I think. Nice for them to get their first win under their belts against the Texans, but Steelers look decent too. Tough loss they took. They look okay, but still going into Buffalo, winning that game was big for them. I think they could be a wild card team. I don't think they're one of the better teams in that division. But yeah, no, I still got the Browns. I like the way that the Browns match up with the Ravens, but the Odell.
What about that matchup? If I could have you follow, what about that Browns-Ravens matchup? Because that was going to be my next question is what about the Browns makes you think that they're good enough to beat the Ravens?
Good question. I think Baker Mayfield's he's a better passer, but you can't say he's a better quarterback because you can't ignore what Lamar Jackson does as a runner because that's still him playing quarterback. I mean, I like Nick Chubb, but I need them to have Odell and now Jarvis Landry's on the IR. They need to be healthy. They just have to have one of the two. It'd be great to have two of them out there. They're not going to be out there together now for what's going to be multiple weeks. Placing Jarvis Landry in the IR, he's got to miss at least 3. Who knows when Odell comes back? But I like their defense. I think Myles Garrett's better than any pass rusher that the Ravens have. Maybe better than any pass rusher in the league. That's not T.J. Watt or Aaron Donald. I don't know. I like Denzel Warren as a corner. That's where losing Marcus Peters for the Ravens might give the Browns the slight edge there when it comes to corners. But like I said, the way Lamar runs the ball and can pass it the way he does, it's like that's not really anything any defense matches up well against. So I don't know. I don't know. I just think the Browns finally get one this year and narrowly edge them out. But it's going to be a back and forth affair all season. And when those two teams do match up for their 2 meetings this year, they're obviously going to be very magnified because it very well could come down to one of those tiebreakers of who beat who or, common opponents, obviously that type of thing. Division record is going to be huge too. So anytime those teams have a division game, it's going to be big.
Yeah,
Matt, I'm going to stop you right there with that Browns take. I'm not sold on the Browns this year. I know it's not a tangible thing, but the Browns haven't yet given me consistent hope that they're going to be the winners out of the AFC. I just don't think Baker Mayfield, while he is a great quarterback, I don't think he's at that level where he can lead a team to a deep playoff run. There's certainly a lot of talent there with Mayfield and Nick Chubb and Odell Beckham and Landry. But as you said, who knows if they're both going to be healthy at the same time. So I think if you don't have all those pieces together, I don't think that they're going to be beating teams like the Chiefs or the Bills that seem to be a much more stable team, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's all going to come down here to the consistency on offense with Mayfield and whether the receivers can stay healthy. But I also think that the Browns are the best matchup for the Ravens because of the speed they have on the defensive line. Containing Lamar is the name of the game when it comes to beating the Ravens. With guys like Myles Garrett, if they can get consistent pressure, that's something that could put them over the top. So I like that pick. I think the Browns are as much as the Browns have been hyped up in past years, I think that this year they're going to kind of fly under the radar. The hype is kind of worn out a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. People are getting sleepy a bit more. So I think it could be the year for the Browns too. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Yep.
All right. So now let's kind of shift gears here to a team that is far less successful than the Browns or the Ravens.
Oh yeah.
Or really anybody else here to start the year. And that's the Jets. So we got a new coach, new quarterback. Things are looking good. There's energy in the building. We're getting comparisons between Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. Everything looks like it's on the up and up for the Jets. And then the season starts. Suffered their second loss of the season this past weekend. Nothing looked good. They're turning the ball over. Zach Wilson looks shaky. What's the issue here? What do you guys see as the Jets' issue? And do they right the ship moving forward?
Wait. Who was comparing Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers?
See, I don't know specifically, but I know that I heard that comparison. It might have been on draft night. One of the talking heads.
Tony Romo compared him to Pat Mahomes just 2 weeks ago. And Aaron Rodgers gave the guy a lot of praise when they matched up in the preseason. So I honestly think Zach Wilson's going to be just fine. It's rookie growing pains. Obviously, there's a lot more pain than we've seen with past rookies. But as a Bills fan, I know dang well Josh Allen was horrid as a rookie. Granted, he got thrown into a game that they were losing 47-3 that Nate Peterman started, and that's kind of where his career began. But he was raw, and he was a Wyoming guy. Zach Wilson's a BYU guy. These are guys who haven't played against good defenses. They're not playing against a lot of NFL prospects in college. I mean, out there in their conferences, respectively. And that's what magnifies his talent that much more when he's coming out of college. Because it's always hard to watch the tape on a guy like that. And, you got the guy in the back and like, oh, but look who he's playing. And yeah, it's right. It's like scouts, they have a really hard job to do, predicting guys from BYU and Wyoming to go to the NFL and make an impact. Look at Paxton Lynch from Memphis. He's a guy, terrible example of that. He was not what Josh Allen was. He came from Memphis, a smaller school, and he flat out sucked, and he was out of the league doing other things 3 years in. Ben Roethlisberger is another one coming out of Miami, Ohio, way back when. So like it's tough to predict. I think he'll be okay, but right now they're rookie quarterback, first-year head coach, going up against Bill Belichick, who we mentioned last week, dominates rookie quarterbacks. I didn't expect it to be 4 interceptions, but that's nothing new for him. That was a game that they were always going to win. And any Jets fan who's turning the page on Zach Wilson already just 2 games in, that's just absolutely ridiculous. Because Michael Carter carried the load for them at running back. He's a rookie too. Their second-year stud left tackle, Mekhi Becton, is hurt. Their best left guard, Elijah Vera Tucker, their other first-round pick, he's a rookie too. Like, they're young. They're only going to get better. They still don't really have much of a thing going on defense. Their secondary is weak. Quinnen Williams has been absolutely missing for the first 2 games. He hasn't shown up on the stat sheet. So those are things that'll correct. I mean, even CJ Mosley, it's almost like he's a rookie. He missed dang near 2 years. So he's just getting right back into it now too. So it's like all these guys are just getting their feet under him. I think they still end up winning 4 or 5 games, which after winning 2 a year ago is a step up. So I don't know. They'll figure it out, and rookies just tend to do that. But like I said, this past Sunday was a lot worse than I've ever seen a rookie play. So I guess you call it growing pains, but they're just magnified. And you look like you have something to contest that I said, so I'm gonna let you talk. And I'll do this out.
wait, Matt. So you think the Jets aren't going to be the worst team in the NFL this year?
No, the Texans are, and the Jaguars. I think Trevor Lawrence looked absolutely horrific the other day, and I just think Urban Meyer's in over his head.
Oh, wow.
I think Trevor Lawrence,
number 1 pick here.
He's better than Zach Wilson. Obviously, that's why he went 1 and Zach Wilson went 2. I just think Urban Meyer's in way over his head, and it's going to be a one and done if he makes it to the end of the year. I think Robert Saleh is a much better coach at this level than Urban Meyer. So that's their defense still. I'm still giving the Jets defense a slight leg. I mean, we're comparing 2 terrible things here, so I'm not going to say the Jets defense is good. I think they're just slightly better. But no, I don't know. I just think the Jaguars, and I'm still going to say the Texans are worse, especially if Tyrod's missing extended time. Davis Mills isn't going to win a game. He looked awful the other day. So,
wow, what's the Wi-Fi going on in New York? They're just having all types of problems.
It's not. We're in the middle of nowhere down here in Olean. It's surrounded by mountains. I don't know. It's never been good on this campus, but it was much better than this last week.
Oh yeah. Oh man, upstate New York is just a mess.
Moral of the story, I think the Jets can win 4 or 5 games, and for them, that's a step forward. He's not going to throw 4 interceptions every game. That's what I'm going to say.
So far.
At this point for Zach Wilson, the only place you can go is up. You can't get any lower. So that's what I mean by that, I guess.
Nice.
That's the key point right there. I believe in Robert Saleh. It's going to happen. They're going to figure it out. This is the infancy of their rebuild. It's not going to happen at once.
Yeah, Zach Wilson. I know I keep talking about the intangibles, but I'm just sort of an intangibles guy. Zach Wilson, just looking at him on the sideline, he looks like he is quite literally the guy that comes from a small town and he gets to a big city like New York and he's like, oh my God, what the hell's going on? Oh geez, I am not comfortable here. I am not comfortable in this situation, and it's showing. Is he going to get used to it and actually win some games? I don't know. Again, it's too early to see, but I don't know. Even at the draft, he is like, this is a lot different than BYU, you know? So I think, well, the Jets, how much trust can you put in the Jets franchise these days after so many years of just disappointment? But if the Jets take a quarterback second overall, which, well, I was gonna say they haven't done that in a while, but they just drafted Sam Darnold a couple of years ago. Well, the Sam Darnold's still a starting quarterback in the NFL, so I guess that says something. But yeah, I don't know. It is still early, but Zach Wilson's still not looking good. So the Jets continue their reign of just being terrible.
Yeah, I agree with both of you there. I will say I think that Trevor Lawrence, which I'm pretty sure this is a product of just the awful offensive line in Jacksonville and perhaps bad coaching too. I haven't watched enough of Jaguars football this year to know enough about Urban Meyer and what he's done so far to make a comment on that. But I definitely think the Jaguars are going to be the worst team in the league this year. I don't think it's close. I think the Jets pull out 3 to 5 wins, something like that. And that's simply because I think they've made the right decisions in the offseason, bringing in Robert Saleh. And I believe in Zach Wilson too. That could just be a bit of a bias because he was compared to Aaron Rodgers, but the tape doesn't lie, despite it being at BYU. We shall see, but I definitely don't think they're going to be the worst team in the league again this year.
One thing I saw about Urban Meyer that was kind of funny is like Urban Meyer is just about to fake a heart attack and then just dip out of the NFL.
Did the USC job get filled yet?
No,
not yet. I saw some definite just speculation rumors type deal that were like, all right, maybe it's time for Urban Meyer to just take the job in college.
Seems like he's not.
That'll be an interesting one to watch. Yeah, at this point, it definitely seems that way. But that'll be an interesting one to watch.
Who is in more over their head? Is Zach Wilson or Urban Meyer? Yeah, that's a question right there.
Who do the Jets got this week?
Broncos.
Okay, so
ooh, that's
on the road.
Kind of a tough matchup. They're definitely going to lose that one.
Yeah, looks like I was muted. Sure. That's a tough. Yeah, that's a tough defense to go into for a rookie. That's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. So the Jets still suck.
Yep. Next topic.
Yeah, and so another trend that seems to be continuing here is Great. Carson Wentz being injured, and this time his injury is almost comical. I don't want to say comical because it's an injury, but how does a person sprain both ankles? I get it. He came back in the game to play. I believe it was his right ankle that was sprained. The first time he comes back in, plays on it, and I could see how overcompensation could lead to a second ankle sprain. But it really seems like this could only happen to Carson Wentz. Injuries have just been the story for him throughout his career. And I think I saw today that the Eagles get a second round pick for Wentz if the Colts don't make the playoffs. If they do make the playoffs, that pick gets elevated to a first round pick. And I think there's other contingencies that go along with his playing time as well. So there's multiple different things that this type of an injury could affect. Sprained ankles, both ankles sprained. You can play on a sprained ankle. Players have done it in the past. T.Y. Hilton played on a double sprain to get into the playoffs a few years back. So it can happen. But to have both ankles sprained for a quarterback, a player that needs his feet, needs a base to throw off of, to me, this seems like something that the Colts should probably shut him down. We've all been there, done that. We've seen this story over and over again. Carson Wentz shut down. But at this point in the season, this early, it seems to me like that's the only route to go. If they're thinking about playing this week, I would say that's just a failure from the head coaching spot to really think long term. So I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about this.
No,
Carson
I agree.
Wentz.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Okay. Damn. The Carson Wentz is just the D Rose of the NFL. He's just constantly getting injured. It's like that SpongeBob scene where the guy's like, I was born with paper bones and glass skin. Is like that's Carson Wentz right there. He just walks onto an NFL field and he's like, dang, I rolled my ankle just stepping onto this field. Oh God, this is bad. And Carson Wentz just having terrible luck, or maybe his body is just like, please, no more. You're not meant for this. You're too fragile. Oh man, he's having a rough go of it.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. He probably should be shut down because this is one of those things that can only get worse. And that's not doing him any favors. I feel absolutely terrible for him at this point. It's just bad luck is what it seems like. And hopefully he gets better soon. Hopefully they handle everything the right way. And I don't know, it doesn't worsen like it tends to always do with him, because I still think he's talented. But obviously the best ability is availability. And if he's out there getting hurt and he can't play, that doesn't bode well for him or the team. So they need to take this the right way, and hopefully he gets right.
So if Wentz doesn't go, if he misses any amount of time here, the Colts are left with Jacoby Eason, who came in relief of Wentz on Sunday and immediately threw a pick to Jalen Ramsey, which, look, throwing against Jalen Ramsey isn't going to be an easy task for any quarterback. But what do you guys think is the outlook here for the Colts, assuming that Carson Wentz misses time?
Well, it's not good. They're going to lose some games for sure. And I mean, you're already 0-2. You got the Titans coming up this week. Huge division game. You lose this game, you're 2 games behind them, practically 3, because they'd have the tiebreaker the first time they played you. So it's a big game. And you win the game, you're in first place because you'd both be 1-2 and you'd have the tiebreaker. So and that's, I know it's only week 3, but that's huge going in. That's the difference between being even after 3 weeks and chasing 3 games after 3 weeks with an injured quarterback. So it is big. And that's right away for whoever has to come in and play, whether it be Eason or I think Sam Ehlinger's still there. Obviously, it's going to be Eason, though, because he's the guy that they brought in when he was hurt. And I know Ehlinger was hurt, too, at the end of preseason. But, I mean, maybe it's a mixture of the two of them. I don't know. Eason came in. You said the immediate pick. I don't think either one of them is going to lead the team to a win. But, no, they need Wentz. But, like I said, at the same time, it's not one of those things you can rush, because sprained ankles are things that aren't going to heal unless you stay off of them. And, obviously, playing football is the complete opposite of staying off of them. Like you said, from the quarterback position, he was always on his feet and powering off that back leg. So I don't know. The outlook would not be good. This is a big game they got coming up. So
just to give some context here, the next slate of games here for the Colts, like you guys said, they have the Titans next week. Then they have Miami. Then they have the Ravens in a big one in prime time. Texans, they get a little break. I don't know how long or how bad these sprains are, how much time Carson Wentz would have to miss. But that Texans game is the only sign of relief here, because then you have the 49ers and and the Titans once again. So Coop, go ahead. I just wanted to throw that bit of context in there.
Yeah, the Colts are going to be in a bad spot, to say the least, if Wentz is out more long term. They're sort like they're not in a good spot right now, I don't think, because I think Wentz is past his prime. He's like D-Rose after the injury. He's just not the same. But they're going to be even worse shape if they're going to be having to start Jacob Eason or Sam Ellinger. I haven't heard of any of those two guys. So that most likely can't be good. So the Colts are in a pretty tough spot right now.
For sure.
Yeah, with the bye week not until week 14, this is about as inopportune a time for Carson Wentz to have two sprained ankles as they come. Oh, so, man. Yeah, rough sledding in Indy right now. That's for sure.
What the hell, Wentz?
So, yeah, we'll see how that develops here. But yeah, it was surprising because it was both ankles for me. I was like, this has to be a piece from The Onion or something like that.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, it wasn't surprising because it was Carson Wentz's ankles. So we'll see how that plays out. So for the last segment here, second to last segment, I should say, until we get to our end of the episode fantasy discussion, which we got a lot to talk about this week. Me and Matt played this week, and Coop, I got you next week. But before we get there, we wanted to just quickly talk about some of the surprise 2-0 teams, or maybe not surprise, but at least controversial 2-0 teams heading into week 3. So those teams that we're going to be talking about are the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Panthers, and the Broncos. All of these teams are getting some MVP level play, like Kyler Murray. I would even venture as far to say Derek Carr. But there's definitely room for controversy about whether these teams are for real and whether they're contenders and whether this kind of winning will continue as the season goes on. So I think the best way to do this would just be to start with one team and give our thoughts and go from there. So is there a team that you guys want to start with? Is there a team that you're really pressed about, that you really got something to say about?
I think we should go with the Raiders first, since you just mentioned that. Yeah.
Let's do it. All right. So yeah, the Raiders are 2-0. They had that kind of prolific Monday night game to start the season off.
Oh yeah.
And then they continued the hot streak this week. I'm a believer in the Raiders. I've since they got John Gruden, despite his more questionable decisions upon first coming in, like trading Khalil Mack, in John Gruden we trust, and I think that they're going to be just fine this year. I think that this is actually going to be something of a breakout year for the Raiders, and I think they're a sneaky Super Bowl contender this year. I may be a bit too high after just 2 weeks here, but they've shown resiliency. The offense looks great, despite not having a whole lot of depth at places like wide receiver. I think they can get it done. So I'm interested to see, Coop. It sounds like you might disagree slightly.
No, I agree with you. I think they're going to be a pretty solid team. I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders, but I think they'll at least be a wild card team. Yeah, they've got a pretty solid offense, and they've got a good rookie in Carl Nassib, who had a big I think it was forced fumble against the Ravens on Monday night. Yeah, they've got a good wide receiving core of Henry Ruggs and Hunter Renfrow. So we'll see if they can continue that level of play. And they've got arguably, I think, one of the best running back duos in the NFL with Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake. I had Kenyon Drake last year, and he was great on the Cardinals. So excited to see what else he does on the Raiders this year. I think he's going to do great. He got that nice 1-2 punch with Jacobs and Drake, and the veteran coaching of John Gruden. I'm also a John Gruden guy. I think he's a good coach. He's a real football guy. He really just knows the game of football in and out. So I think the Raiders are a strong wild card team this year.
Yeah, I believe in the Raiders. I mean, there's no reason not to. Two very impressive wins over AFC North teams, especially. I mean, both of them really. You had Monday night in prime time in front of the whole country, and then you had a tough road game for them coming all the way east, which is never easy to do, traveling between the time zones and beating a very good defense in the Steelers without Josh Jacobs. So that was big. And Darren Waller was pretty much erased. He was obviously the main focus of the Steelers defense, and he's obviously the number one weapon, and they still found a way to win the game, and their defense played great. So, yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to believe them, at least at this point. Because like I said, if you can beat those two teams in those two scenarios, you can beat just about anyone except for maybe the Chiefs, who they beat last year for one of the Chiefs' 3 losses. So, I mean, they're a division rival. They know what it takes. They see them a lot. So, I mean, yeah, there's no reason why not to buy into this site.
All right. So, Matt, are they Super Bowl contenders? That's the burning question here.
Not quite, because I still think that they're the third best team in their division. I like the Chargers still.
Yeah.
Which that was a tough loss.
The Chargers too. Okay.
That was and the Broncos. I mean, forget the Broncos are 2-0, who we'll obviously talk about here.
Right.
That's
surprisingly
good. That's a very good division. That's a very good division.
Tough division.
So is the NFC West. When the Cardinals, we'll talk about both West divisions. Got some very good teams going in them. So that's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Why don't we slide right over then and talk about the Cardinals, the other team in the West Division out there in the NFC West? I'll let you guys start this one off, and I'll come in at the back end. Coop, you maybe want to start us off with this one. Where do you see the Cardinals doing?
Yeah, I also think the Cardinals are a very strong team. They're a good balanced team with the leadership of Kyler Murray, who's just so elusive. That's a big thing nowadays in the NFL. If you have a running quarterback like the Ravens do in Lamar Jackson, or the Chiefs do in Patrick Mahomes, you're going to do pretty well, I think, more often than not. Kyler Murray is just he's so fast because of that, sort of compact frame he has, and he got one of the best wide receivers in the NFL right now, DeAndre Hopkins, regardless of his stance against vaccines. You can't forget that he's a great player. And you got on defense, you got Chandler Jones and Tyrann Mathieu. So all around, just a great team. And I think that they're posed to make a deep playoff run, if not definitely a wild card team.
I'm going to stop you right there, because I don't think that the Cardinals are a playoff team. I think they still finish fourth in the NFC West, just because it's a deep division. And I like what they've done for the first 2 weeks to start the season. I did not expect them to go into Tennessee and win. Guys win. Tennessee, they bounced back well. So, I mean, that was a good win for them. Tennessee beat Seattle. Arizona beat Tennessee week 1. So that's a good win. I don't know. The Vikings are another team that I expected to be somewhat decent. They're 0-2. Maybe I overestimated them. I just still don't think that the Cardinals are on the level of – I could see them maybe passing the Seahawks, if anything, which I guess, would be a wild card, because I think there's going to be 3 playoff teams out of the NFC West. When I match them up against,
I think it's because
what?
Matt, you cut out there again, unfortunately.
You cut out right when you were saying you could see them passing.
I could see them passing the Seahawks, if anyone, in that division. So I guess that would make them wild card team, because I think there's going to be 3 wild card teams from that division. Did do it again?
Yeah, just for a second.
I don't think they're a playoff team when you match them up with the other 3 in the division. But I could see them also finishing, we got 17 games. I could see them finishing in 4th place at 9-8, which would just be absurd, because that's 4 teams in the division with a losing record. You put them in any other division, they're probably definitely a wild card team, if not winning it. And that's just, I don't know, luck of the draw, I guess. But they play the AFC South, but so is everyone in their division. The AFC South, I think, they already beat the Titans 1. They can definitely beat the Colts. They can definitely beat the Texans. They can definitely beat the Jaguars, but I think you could say that for all other 4 NFC West teams. So I think they're all going to have the opportunity to rack up wins, and they're just going to beat up on each other. And it's just a matter of how those games play out. Every time there's a division game going on in the NFC West, it's going to be huge. So,
Jeez, Matt, I think your takes have been so bad that this episode that Zoom is just cutting you out and say, no, I'm not letting this guy say anymore. It's just like,
hey, we'll see. We'll see.
Cut him off right there. Don't
time will tell
anymore.
I think Cliff Kingsbury is a terrible coach, and it's going to show sooner rather than later. You just watch.
Oh,
that's an interesting take.
You think Cliff Kingsbury is a terrible coach with that great house he has that was shown on the NFL draft?
All right. Well, look at his division. Is he a better coach than Sean McVay? No. Pete Carroll? No.
Well, you know,
Kyle Shanahan. No.
You know, they're both good young coaches.
Sean McVay has a nice house too, so it's got that going.
but you know,
all three of those guys have been to a Super Bowl.
So yeah,
true.
I'll tell you.
But those three other guys have been to a Super Bowl, and Pete Carroll winning one. So, but I just think Cliff is like, I'll just be watching games and they'll be going for it on random fourth. I feel like he's almost like too aggressive. Like that's my problem with him. But I mean, Kyler Murray is absurd. I mean, it's nothing against him. Like they're a great team. It's just I think when it comes down to the other teams in their divisions, the other ones just have better coaching and deeper rosters. And at this point, anyway. But I mean, the Cardinals, Kyler Murray's going to win an MVP and a Super Bowl at some point in his career. So yeah, I mean, why not this year? Hey, I'm not ruling him out. I just don't think.
Okay. Fair point.
I mean,
fair point.
I think I agree a bit more with Matt on this one. I think the Cardinals are good, but I think they're unproven. I don't think that the 2-0 start is indicative of anything. And the reasons I think that is because Minnesota's defense has been abysmal this year. Their secondary is awful. Their front line has also been awful. And I don't think that performance says much. It says that the Cardinals can take advantage of those types of situations, which is great. And Kyler Murray's been spreading the ball around better than any quarterback in the league this year. AJ Green has catches, Christian Kirk has catches, Rondale Moore has catches, DeAndre Hopkins, of course, has catches. So the Cardinals offense is the real deal. And I also think that Tennessee kind of got surprised a bit by him in week one. I think that the Cardinals kind of stole that game a little bit. And with the strength of that division, I agree here with Matt. I don't see them. I almost don't see them as a playoff team. It'll be interesting to see if they can keep this kind of role going. But I'm not going to go so far as to say they're a fluke, and I'm not going to go so far as to say they're a contender. I think there's just too much left out on the table yet with the state of the Vikings defense and kind of the surprise factor of the week one win over Tennessee. I think that the Cardinals' success here remains to be seen. But we'll see. We'll see going forward. So, all right, moving right ahead here. Let's go over to the Broncos. They're back in that division with the Raiders. Came out hot. Their defense is playing just outstanding. Surtain, the rookie, has come in and filled in better than anybody could have hoped that he would fill in. Von Miller looks to be back. Teddy Bridgewater seems to be faring well. Could be a sneaky Cinderella type team this year, but also with the strength of that division, I don't see them being a playoff team. And I think they're actually probably going to suffer some bad losses this year. And I don't think it'll be their defense's fault. I think that Teddy Bridgewater, while being a good quarterback, he's not great. And the game that Sutton had this weekend isn't going to be something that we see consistently, despite the running game being not the worst thing in the world. They have Melvin Gordon, and I'm forgetting
Javonte Williams.
Thank you. Yes, Javonte Williams. They've looked amazing. But again, I'm just not sold on this Broncos team, and that could just be a product of their past troubles here the past couple of years. But yeah, I don't see them as a playoff team this year.
I'd agree with you. I could see them definitely tailing off and taking some bad losses as the year goes on. I just don't think it's sustainable is the way I want to go with it, I guess.
Tyler, I'm going to stop right there about your take about Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton is a great wide receiver, and he's very solid. And he was very solid last year. He was averaging more than like 10 points a game at least. And so while he's not going to be putting up 25-point games a week because he's the number one wide receiver and has a huge target share in this offense. So while the Broncos all around might not be one of the best teams in the AFC, Cortland Sutton is a legit wide receiver.
Sutton is a legit wide receiver. I'm just worried about his sustained production with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback.
Okay.
That's my only concern there. I think that with a guy like Patrick Mahomes, insert elite quarterback here, Cortland Sutton is an elite wide receiver. Teddy Bridgewater is my concern. So yeah, I partially agree, partially disagree with you on that.
Okay.
One.
All right.
Just for sake of time here, looks like we are getting close to the hour mark here. So we're going to move on here to the last team real quick in our discussion. And that is the Panthers, who really shocked everyone, especially everyone in New Orleans and myself, beating the Saints. I believe it was 26-7, kind of a statement game. Their defense is real. Defense wins championships. Sam Darnold is here. It was all the Jets' fault. I feel like Sam Darnold is going to show why he was a top pick in the draft, and why he is a franchise quarterback going forward. But that defense, the way that they're able to dial up pressure, I don't remember the exact number of sacks that Winston took, but I want to say it was something like 8 to 10 sacks. It was a statement game. The Saints came in and just knocked the snot out of the Packers in week 1. And I firmly expected this game to be much closer. So I'm all in on the Panthers. I think they're the real deal. I think that defense is going to take them places this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think they can grab one of the wild card spots. I'm big on Sam Darnold now that he's finally free from the Jets and all the sabotaging they may have done. I think he's going to be a great quarterback this year. He's got good weapons, and his old buddy Robbie Anderson from New York, and obviously DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey's as big of a weapon as they get. And the defense, last year they spent all 7 of their draft picks on defense. The 7 defensive rookies last year. They only got better as the season went on, and they've started this year off on a roll, obviously. So that defense is young, and it's been great through 2 games, and it's only going to get better. So I think they can definitely grab one of the wild card spots. I think they're the second best team in that NFC South, obviously, given the Bucs and out over them, which is no fault of their own. Obviously, they proved they're better than the Saints. They're better than the Falcons as well. They're going to be very well in contention for one of those second wild cards.
I'm going to stop you right there. Just a quick follow-up question. Do the Panthers steal a game from the Bucs this year?
Maybe when they play in Carolina. No. Maybe.
No.
Bucs aren't going to win them all. And one of the ones the Bucs lose is going to be a division game, because those games always tend to be close. I know they blew out the Falcons this week, but they really didn't. There was 2 key pick sixes at the end that made the score look the way it was. That was a good game. That was a very close game. It was a 1-possession game with 7 minutes left. Obviously, like I said, 2 pick sixes. The one great play by Mike Edwards. The second one, Mike Edwards again, ball just tipped in the air, happened to get picked and ran back. I mean, that could have happened to anyone. So the game ended up scoring 47 points or something ridiculous. That wasn't really a 20-point win. I mean, it was, because that's what the scoreboard said it was. But like I said, it was a 1-possession game with 7 minutes left. Division games just always tend to be closer. Like the Chiefs losing to the Raiders last year on Sunday Night Football. That's just a team that knows the Chiefs. They see them twice a year. They have been seeing Pat Mahomes now for 3 years, twice a year. So, the Bucs, granted, they've only seen Brady for 2 games last year, but they're a team up and coming. I think maybe they could steal one, but the Bucs aren't going to go 17-0. If there is a team that's still undefeated, most likely to do it, it is them. But I wouldn't be shocked by it, but I'm not going to predict it.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but you guys are the bigger Patriots, or at least New England area fans. In my experience, it seems like when teams can get pressure on Tom Brady, and this goes back to his time with the Patriots, there's a much greater chance for success. It seems like that might be his kryptonite is pressure. And I feel like the Panthers are the team that can bring that pressure. So I completely agree. I think they steal one from him this year. I think that's one of Tampa Bay's losses.
Pressure from who?
Derek Brown, Brian Burns.
Reach.
Name them.
Who are they?
Reach.
I don't know those guys.
Derek Brown, 7th overall pick a year ago. Jeremy Chin should have won defensive rookie, or did he win? He might have won defensive rookie in the year. I might have been.
That I don't know.
I know he was one of the top 2. He's a like Jamal Adams type. He's a blitzing safety. I mean, J.C. Horn, 7th overall pick this year, playing corner. He's locked down. At least he's going to be. I mean, it's tough for rookies adjusting. But Brian Burns, I think he's a Florida State guy. He was a first-round pick a couple years ago. He's good. He had double-digit sacks last year. No, I mean, they got names. You're just not a college football guy, so that's why.
Chase Young was the rookie of the year.
Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Jerry Chim was second.
Of course,
I had the same. I had the same thought. Like, I should.
How would I forget that? Because he was so good. I feel like I've been seeing him for years now. But yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, but the Panthers, the only player I really think of is Christian McCaffrey. There's like Christian McCaffrey and everybody else. So I don't really think about the Panthers that much. Ever since Cam Newton left, I don't know. They haven't done great. Christian McCaffrey is like the only player that has kept this team even slightly afloat these past couple of years. So that's all I have to say about the Panthers.
And going back to your prior discussion, Coop, about intangibles, I think that sentiment that you're kind of sleeping on them a little bit, I think that is going to be something that they can use going forward. They're going to fly under the radar, be a sneaky good team all year. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to surprise people. So, yeah.
Wouldn't be shocked.
We'll see.
So I was thinking here, since we're getting a bit short on time, we're going to try to end each episode with a bit of a fantasy discussion. As I mentioned last week, all three of us are in the same league for one of our leagues this year. And this past week, me and Matt went up against each other. I squeaked out the W there. And I think next week it came down to Monday night, I think, or at least Sunday night. I don't actually remember. It was Sunday. So next week I got you, Coop, and what I was thinking, just for the sake of time, we should table that discussion. We can come back and do a little bit longer of a fantasy discussion next week after we have all played each other. We can kind of give an outlook going forward and things like that. So if that sounds good to you guys, we can wrap this thing up and put week 2 in the books here.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, it was great.
Yep.
I hope that we're getting more people to join us with each passing week. Be sure to look for the links to those favorite moments wherever you're consuming this podcast, whether it be on YouTube, Spotify, wherever, or on the Jersey Column website. And yeah, look forward to seeing y'all next week.
Awesome.
All right. See you guys next week. In Mac, we trust.